think it was Beaner. I think it was Bean came into the locker room and was like, "Hey, we're actually going to make you're up today." This is after I just ran
the day of the game.
Yeah, so like an hour and a half before kickoff.
Hey everybody, and welcome to WCNc Charlotte's podcast, Off the Clock. I'm WCNc Charlotte Sports Director Nick Carboni, and this is my weekly conversation with somebody in Charlotte with a unique sports story to tell. And imagine you're a kid in Charlotte growing up, you go to the first ever Panthers game, and then years later you're playing for the Panthers. That is the dream that Brenton Bersin lived. The Charlotte Latin School grad was under-recruited, undrafted, and an underdog, but managed to catch on to his hometown team as an NFL wide receiver. And after that, he battled to stay on the team till he finally got his shot. Then he caught passes from Cam Newton in that magical 2015 season and got to experience all of that in his hometown. But before we get to that, a reminder that you can watch me every weeknight on WCNc Charlotte at 6 and 11 with the latest in local sports. And super pumped right now for our special Panthers, A Season of Uncertainty, that airs this Sunday night at 7:30 and Monday at 1. We're going to get you ready for the season, as uncertain and as unprecedented as it is, with a new coach, new QB, and oh yeah, the pandemic too. We've got great guests, including our own Eugene Robinson, and Ashley Stroline is going to talk one-on-one with Panthers linebacker Shaq Thompson. All right, here is Off the Clock with Brenton Bersin, but as always, we start on the clock with some rapid-fire questions. Here we go. What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Welcome to the NFL moment was probably rookie camp. It was our first off day. We were down in Spartanburg, and Smitty welcomed me to the league by filling my Jeep with packaging peanuts and wrapping it with saran wrap, so I couldn't drive back to Charlotte.
Nice. Okay, we got to know, is the flow gone? Is it coming back? What do we got up top there?
It is gone currently. Just shaved it 2 weeks ago. It was getting kind of long, almost man bun again, but I'll grow it back out.
All right, and last one, and I ask everybody this, given the times, last place you got takeout in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Last place, Persuasion. I had it last night over in Dilworth near Ed's Tavern. Really good Asian food.
Well, hey man, thanks for joining us on Off the Clock, and I just think that you fit our kind of niche of telling unique Charlotte sports stories. Somebody who is from this city, grew up dreaming of playing in the NFL, and then got to do that for his home city team, and some pretty amazing teams and experiences as well. So, but I want to get started at the beginning. Growing up in Charlotte, was the NFL always the dream? Did you play other sports? Take me through your journey of football and when you first fell in love with that game.
Yeah, it was probably always my favorite sport. My parents lived in San Francisco before they moved to Charlotte. I was born here. My brother was born in San Francisco. So my dad was a 49ers fan. So I kind of grew up loving Jerry Rice. I have one older brother, so he always got to play quarterback. So he was Steve Young. I was Jerry Rice. So luckily I can't really throw. So that was probably a good thing. So I was always the receiver, and I liked doing that. We played in the backyard all the time. Grew up playing basically every sport, soccer. I didn't play organized football till 6th grade. I played South Park Pee Wee. And then I went to Charlotte Latin my whole life from K through 12. So I started organized in 7th grade there at Latin. But I played baseball, soccer, basketball at the Y, pretty much every sport, golf, tennis. Football was always my favorite, though.
Yeah, and you showed it at Latin. I mean, a couple of state titles. Is that for Coach Larry McNulty, I would think?
Yep, Coach Mack.
What was it like to play for him? And tell me about those teams, specifically the 2006 game against Country Day. I think you had the game winner there. Yeah,
so 2005, I was a sophomore. We won the state championship. I played a little bit. I was never a weight room guy. So I was a little smaller when I was a sophomore. Didn't play as a freshman. But then junior year, the game you were mentioning, we actually lost to Country Day, I think, in the final regular season game. And then we ended up beating them at Country Day for the state title. And our quarterback, Braden Hansen, he was well-renowned around I think he was the Observer Player of the Year either that year or his senior year. He went to Carolina. He was highly recruited. But that actually helped me get recruited because he was an Under Armour All-American, 6'6" lefty, all the big coaches would come to Latin to recruit him, and that got me some exposure too. But I mean, it was awesome playing for Coach Mack. Latin, we always had a good time, but he taught me a lot about working hard and all that because he has that military background. Great football coach, though.
So you grew up in the backyard as a 49er, I guess, but what was your kind of NFL dream as a kid? I mean, did you have sights set on it early? And what do you remember about the Carolina Panthers? Because it sounds like you kind of moved here right as that was bubbling up and they started to spring up. What was your first memory of the franchise being here? And did you go to games as a kid too?
Yeah, so I was born here. My parents moved here in 88, I think, 89. Mm-hmm. And I was born here in 90. So I remember before the Panthers, I was super young, but my dad was 49ers fan. And then the Panthers came in 95, 96. Mm-hmm. I actually went to the first game at Clemson. And then I went to games. My dad had 2 tickets. We went all the time. So I grew up a Panthers fan. And I mean, I remember watching Steve Berline, Kerry Collins, that era. Ricky Prohl, he coached me, and he was probably one of my favorite Panthers when he was here, which is ironic.
So you leave Latin, you go to Wofford, and it's a pretty run-heavy system they were running there. I mean, how did you kind of stand out as a receiver to go on to threaten receiving records, to tie and break receiving records there?
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating at times, but we had good teams, and I'd say 95% of the time I was just kind of running off the corner. But since it's so run-heavy, they can't really scheme a pass defense. So, I mean, they would just leave the corner press man one-on-one. So if we were going to call a pass, I mean, it was perfect. It was like one-on-one drills. And that's why I had such good stats, is because when we passed, we were able to take advantage of that. And, I mean, I think my junior year, I had at one point in the year 10 catches, 8 touchdowns. It was something ridiculous like that. So anytime we were calling a play, it was high efficiency.
Well, tell me about one touchdown you had at Clemson. I want you to take me back to that fall day, because you guys put a scare down there in Death
We
Valley.
should have won. We should have won that game.
I knew that was the first thing you'd say.
That comes back to the not throwing enough, because we had the ball at the end, I think down 8 maybe, and we didn't even throw the ball once, and we turned it over on downs. So that still pisses me off. But we came out hot on them. I think they had the ball first, and we picked off Taj Boyd, and we went down and scored a rushing touchdown, I think, got the ball back. They may have scored, but then we I'm trying to remember what down it was. But anyway, we did like a play action, and they busted the coverage, and I was wide open.
So that still stings. The end of that.
Yeah, it still stings. Because that was one of the first years Clemson was really good.
Right. That was right at the beginning.
That was one of Dabo's run. I think they had 11 wins and lost in the Orange Bowl maybe. But their only losses, they lost to West Virginia in the bowl, who ran an option-style offense, and they lost to Georgia Tech in the regular season, who ran an option. And then they almost lost to us. So obviously that was their weakness.
So you get done with Wofford, and you're not drafted. I mean, was there a decision you were trying to make between, because you had the account financing major at a great school, and you still think you've got something left for football? Was there a point where you had to make a decision, or was it just, no, I'm going to continue this football thing for sure?
Well, so yeah, it's pretty interesting, and I didn't know any of this before that, but once you're done playing, you hire an agent, right? So he's going to handle all that strategy and talking to teams and kind of feeling out where you fall. Like, back to your question, if he had told me, like, I don't know if we're going to get you in a camp, it's iffy, I probably would have just focused on finding a job in finance, right? Yeah. But he was pretty confident that I'd either get picked late or definitely be an undrafted invite to a camp. So that was a determining factor to keep going for it, because I didn't redshirt. So my senior year, I was still in class, and I was double majoring. So I had 5 courses, and I had to train for the pro day and all that stuff at Wofford, which was kind of hard, because a lot of people, they have a 5th year and they get to go down to Florida or somewhere to train and do just that. And I had all these classes I had to take. But anyway, during the draft on Saturday, is it Saturday or Sunday, the last rounds of the draft?
Usually I think it's Saturday. Yeah, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, Saturday. So it was like 6th, 7th round. I got called from a couple teams that were like, we're interested in signing you. They didn't have any picks left, but they're like, we're interested in signing you after the draft. So you're on your phone. So I kind of knew at least someone was going to sign me.
Yep.
And I'm sitting at my apartment at Wofford, and my agent calls me and he says, we're going to go with the Steelers. This is after the draft ended, because he's fielding all the calls from all the teams. He's like, the Steelers, I think they have the best scenario receiver-wise. He hangs up. I tell my brother, like, hey, I'm going to sign this Pittsburgh. We're celebrating all this stuff. And then I get a call back from my agent, and he's like, actually, we're going to go to Carolina. And that's all he said, because he's doing stuff for me and like 10 other guys.
Right, yeah.
And obviously, I would prefer to go to Carolina because that's where I'm from. So we were all excited, and that's kind of how that went down. But the most interesting thing that people don't know about watching the draft, and I'm biased, but I understand that it's cool to say, like, I was drafted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's better to go undrafted than to get picked 7th round or 6th round, because those aren't roster locks anyway.
Right.
And you have one choice. You have to go to that team, right?
Yeah.
Undrafted, if you're basically, you are a free agent. 10 teams, you can kind of pick what's the best scenario. I'm a receiver, who has the weakest bottom end of that position. What's the highest chance for you to make the team or even practice squad? Because most of the time that's kind of the angle as an undrafted guy to hang around. So that was good. I think we got to land in a good spot.
Yeah, he landed here. And take me through the process of being here and then playing Arena League football and then working your way back here. I mean, it's not like you get here and you buy a house in Charlotte and call it a day.
Yeah, definitely not. So my rookie year, Chudzinski was the offensive coordinator. Shula was the quarterback's coach. And then the receivers coach was Fred Graves. And then Coach Prohl was actually the assistant receivers coach. So he would actually do a lot with the undrafted guys and trying to help them out. So I actually got a lot of coaching from him, which helped a lot, that I had a good rapport with him. So I came in, I was shooting for practice squad because we had Steve Smith, LaFell, David Geddes was coming off, I think, a knee injury. Basically, we had a lot of good receivers. It was going to be very hard to crack that and make the team.
Yeah.
But that camp, I think I only played 2 or 3 plays in preseason. So I didn't get a big opportunity. And I got cut in the first wave, no practice squad. So I was gone immediately in into August. I was just in Charlotte working out with my buddy. And then in November, I decided to go play Arena in Arizona because my buddy Willie Korn, I don't know if
Clemson.
you remember that name. Yeah, Clemson quarterback.
Yeah.
He ended up transferring to North Greenville. Now he coaches at Coastal. Close friend, he was going to play out there because we trained together here at Velocity in the off season for our with Jed Hardigan. Yep. That's who I trained with my whole career. Mm-hmm. Awesome guy. But Willie was like, hey, you should come out. We can just live in Scottsdale or wherever and play Arena. I was like, all right. So I did that. About a week into camp, he quit to go coach, which was a good call on his side because now that's like what he always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm like, I just followed you out to Arizona and you just leave. But it ended up working out. I didn't really play there, and they had a lot of good receivers on that team. Guys that played in the league, really talented. I had never played Arena. They played for years. They ended up winning the whole thing. I left to come back to Charlotte for rookie mini camp. So after the draft.
So do you have an AFL ring?
No, they didn't give it to me. I'm so pissed about that. I don't know. I was there for over half the season. They owe me a ring.
Yeah,
but anyway, so I was there for like 2 months, and then Coach Prohl, I don't know if Fred Graves left or got fired. Prohl got promoted to receivers coach that offseason. So him and Shula invited me back as a tryout guy at rookie minicamp.
In 13.
So this was 2013. Okay. Before the 13 season.
Yep.
So May of 13. So what people don't know is rookie minicamp after the draft and before OTAs is all the draft picks, undrafted guys. But then also, that's only 15, 20 people.
Right. You need more bodies than that.
You need more bodies to run a practice. So you have tryout guys. And most of the time, they end up liking some of the tryout guys more than the guys they signed as undrafted. Mm-hmm. So technically, teams don't sign their undrafted guys till after that mini camp. so they can evaluate and see who they actually want to sign. So I actually came as a tryout guy. They knew me. I knew the offense. I was in football shape because I was just practicing and playing games for 2 months in arena. So I was in better football shape than a lot of these guys, and I did really well. I knew the offense, all that stuff. So Shula and Prohl brought me back, and Gettleman signed me to a contract right after the rookie mini camp. I had a pretty good camp and was on practice squad that year. And that was the Steve's last year when we lost to the Niners in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we had a really good season.
Yeah. So just like in anything else, I mean, it's who you know and what they know about you a little bit. And obviously you had the other organizational connections with Jerry and Danny, but those were pretty loose. I mean, that doesn't help you make a practice squad or stay on the 53-man roster. Did you ever hear that? And did that kind of tick you off, I guess, that was out there?
Yeah, I get it all the time. I mean, it's not people's fault to just assume that, right? I mean, the Wofford connection, my dad lived near Jerry in Charlotte before he moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
But I mean, for all I know, he does make that decision, but I'm pretty confident that Jerry Richardson, well, Danny wasn't doing anything with roster stuff, but he hires Dave Gettleman to run that, right, in the scouting department.
I mean, we're talking about
he's not saying
mini camp and cut downs and all that stuff.
I don't think he's looking at a practice squad move, to be honest.
So yeah, Brenton certainly made the most of his opportunity. You can't take that from him. And I love that he's still upset over that Clemson game. Just a quick reminder, you can watch Carolina Panthers, A Season of Uncertainty, this Sunday night at 7:30 on WCNc Charlotte. Been a lot of fun for us to put together. I think there is some excitement to see what this team's got, especially on offense with new coordinator Joe Brady. And we're going to dig into that Sunday night. For now, here's more of my conversation with Brenton Bersin on Off the Clock.
So spend 13 on the practice squad, right? I mean, what is it like to be on that
season?
What is it like to be? What is that life like? I mean, it's not a life that we get privy to too often in the media and your average fan. So what is that like to be on that team and just kind of do it every day except Sunday, I guess?
Yeah, it's a lot like, I mean, there's really no difference in being on the practice squad or being like one of the last guys that's actually on the roster that's inactive on game day, right? You're doing everything that a regular roster guy does besides you don't suit up on game day or you don't travel, right? So you're doing in practice, there's no different. You're doing everything that all the other players are doing. Weight room's the same, even though you probably lift a lot more. It's kind of like you're a redshirt freshman, to be honest. That's what I like to compare it to. But I mean, practice squad guys, they don't get enough credit. I mean, I think they should be paid a lot more than they are. And there's no guaranteed money for any of them, right? I mean, you see practice squad moves every week.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're a receiver on practice squad and a lineman gets hurt, you're probably going to get cut because they need to fill that gap with a lineman, right? So
it's a
hard thing to do.
Really, I mean, in terms of the overall situation.
But yeah, I mean, it's not really. You have to do well in practice and do what you're supposed to do, but a lot of the factors are kind of out of your control. Yeah. And I was lucky enough as an undrafted guy and practice squad, I didn't have any serious injuries early on in my career. I didn't hurt my knee or ankle. I ended up doing that later in my career. But if I had those injuries my first 2 years, I would have never had a career, right? Yeah. And that's what happens to a lot of these guys. And it sucks, but that's part of football.
Yeah. 2014, you're able to make the receiver room. Tell me about what it was like when you made it through everything. And were you on the team at the very beginning of the season?
Yes. So 14 was – I always get them switched up because I got cut and signed like almost every year. But at 14, I think I made it out of camp and I didn't get cut the whole year. And that was the year we struggled. Ended up making the playoffs, but we struggled mightily at the beginning of the year. I think we were 3-8-1 at one point into the bye week. But trying to remember who was in the receiver room that year. It was Jason Avant, Koch. It was Koch's first year. They just drafted KB.
Okay, yeah, his first round.
That was Kelvin's rookie year. Philly Brown's undrafted rookie year. Me, I think that was the 5 out of camp.
A lot of people who would come into play in 15 for sure.
Yeah.
What do you like? I can see it on paper. Your first catch against the Lions was on a third down. Do you remember that like vividly, or does that just kind of get lost in the mix with all the other catches you made in the years after that?
I remember it's a funny story about that game is because that was week 2. Week 1, I was inactive. So like it was my first year being active and doing the game day thing. So I didn't really know what to do. So we're down in Tampa, and Big House, Joe Kin, the strength coach, he kind of puts the inactive, active guys through like a little cardio workout before the game while all the other guys are warming up. So it's kind of like running sprints, right? So I thought I was inactive week 2 at home. So I go do the like cardio workout before the game. I'm like, got a sweat going. I'm kind of tired. And then I think it was Bean came in to the locker room and was like, hey, we're actually going to you're up today. This is after I just ran
the day of the game.
Yeah. So like an hour and a half before kickoff that I just ran like 10, 100-yard sprints to get a workout in. And he's like, something happened. I don't know if something got hurt in warm-ups or something. He's like, you're up. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, I need to get over this sprint. So I like went and got warmed up and all that stuff. But it was cool. I don't really remember what happened on the third down. I don't know if KB was tired or something happened because I was just kind of rotating in. I didn't play a lot that game, but I just went in.
Was that a home game? Or was that?
Yeah, it was at home.
What was it like for you being from Charlotte, growing up a Panthers fan, going to the first game? I mean, did you have a second to soak that in? Do you kind of experience that retroactively later when there's not so much on you at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think about it in the game, and it was kind of cool to think about it after, like when my brother texted me and all that stuff. But it was cool walking to the old practice. I know there's the bubble now, but I think they still do the walk. And all the fans would kind of be there. There's this guy that always he's always there. He had a sick picture of the catch that he gave to me. That was like
awesome.
I don't know, 12 by 12 picture of me like doing a first down thing after that catch. So I still have that. So
awesome.
Whoever that was that gave that to me, appreciate it.
And then about a month later, you have your touchdown catch at Lambeau. I think it was late in the game.
DA.
What do you remember about that? And now that, you're in the workforce and everything, what does that mean to you? Do you have the ball? I mean, that's a pretty big moment for you.
I think I still have the ball. I think it's at my mom's house, but it was fun. Like that year, I mean, we got blown out a lot in that stretch. So I actually got to play a lot at the end of the game with DA. Yeah. And it was a run play, and DA just saw that it was like lazy man coverage, and he just kind of gave me a slant signal. Good thing I was looking at him because I was just about to run the dude off because I knew it was a run play. And DA got stepped on by the guard. It's a funny play. He like almost falls. He like chucks it over his head. I'm glad he stayed up and didn't trip. But yeah, it was cool to score there, especially at Lambeau.
And 15, obviously, we all remember that as being a magical season. Just looking at your stat line, 9 catches, 5 for first down. So it kind of seemed to be, and even when I got here in 16 and 17, you were looked to a lot on third downs when you were on the field. What do you kind of make of that, and what was your mentality going into a play in that situation?
Yeah, so 15 was fun because I actually got cut out of camp. So I was practice squad for the first 2 weeks, I think. Koch got hurt. I was his backup. I was the slot, but I mean, I was practice squad. In case something happened, they'd bring me up. So he got hurt against Houston. He hurt his ankle. So I came in and started I think it was week 3 at Tampa. And I actually led the team in catches that week. I mean, we didn't need any of it because Jano had like 2 pick sixes. We were up 28-0 in the first quarter, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, it was fun getting to play on I love third down. I mean, who doesn't? I think I had built a good relationship with Cam that he could trust me, just like he had with Koch. So as long as whoever was in that position, I know Cam trusted Olsen a lot, for sure. We know that. He also trusted that F position, which is the slot. So if it was near Koch. So
did a little digging into nicknames. It looks like Cam's for you, at least that year, was Principal Berson. How many other nicknames were there? Why Principal Berson? And if that's even true, and then what was it like to play with him, especially that season?
So that one got a lot of traction, I think, in the media because it was funny. Mm-hmm. But we were in a meeting. Well, anytime we were in meetings, if there was ever a mix-up, like he would always ask me, like, what was it? What's the name? Or I would always have the answer for him, or like Olsen would too. Yeah. He would just call me the principal for that. But his main one for me was Lord Farquaad. If you've ever seen Shrek.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But he completely mixed up the characters.
Right. I was going to say it doesn't quite resemble.
Lord Farquaad was the short king with the black hair.
Hair, yeah.
Like 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
Prince Charming is what he was going for because that's the dude that had the long blonde hair. Yeah. So I corrected him. I was like, you meant to call me Prince Charming. He's like, well, I'm not going to call you Prince Charming. I'm going to stick with Lord Farquaad.
I guess that's it.
Yep.
What was that experience like for you to see your city be able to experience that right along with you guys, 15-1 Super Bowl run, NFC Championship game at home? When you look back on that, what do you remember the most?
Just the guys. I mean, it was an awesome team. And the media and people like to latch on to star players. And don't get me wrong, Cam had an amazing year. He was an MVP, earned all of that. But like with football being such a team sport, I think chemistry goes a long way, even in the NFL. I mean, it starts with high school football, and we had that at Latin. That's why we were so successful. And that comes down from the coaches and everyone else. And I think Rivera built such a good locker room, and the guys bought in, and we just had fun. I mean, you saw that with the dabbing and all that stuff Cam would do, and everyone would just catch on to that, and the fans and the whole city was behind it. And I think that's what led to a lot of the success.
So in 2017, I think that ended up being your final season. You guys had a really talented team. You guys go into the playoffs a little banged up and almost pull it off in New Orleans. I remember that receiver group. People had fun with it, but you guys were able to do some special stuff and help make that run to the playoffs and go 11-5.
Yeah, we should have won that game. Mm-hmm. What's funny is the Saints, I think it was the next year, you know how they're complaining about the
PI
reffing call. Yeah, the PI call.
Yeah.
They got a ridiculous call in that game against us when they called intentional grounding on Cam on our final drive.
I remember that.
When I think Olsen was 5 yards from where the ball went.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we should have scored on that drive and beat them. But yeah, it was fun. We got ragged on a lot because we were a bunch of no names, but I mean, we got the job done. And just like in 15 or any other year, I mean, 15, they were talking about how bad our receiving core was. Yet Cam was an MVP and threw for all the yards and all that stuff. So, I mean, I think receiving cores is even on a micro level, just like that team, like you got to play together, right?
Yeah.
You don't get open without two other guys running their routes, running off, all that stuff. And we worked together and we got the job done.
So when did the transition happen for you to do what you're doing now? I mean, I know you mentioned you had some injuries later on in your career. Was there like an official, okay, I'm making a decision now, or did it kind of just work its way to that point?
So 17 was my last year playing. So that would have been January 2018, that playoff game. So I was a free agent. I thought I'd get either re-signed here for a year or somewhere else, because that was probably my best season statistically, and I played the most. And I thought I played great. But I had a shoulder surgery that training camp, and I had ankle surgery, I think, before that training camp. I think it was both the same year. And I was almost 28. So getting up there, injuries, that might have gone into why they didn't re-sign me, or they just wanted to go a different route. But other teams, I'm not sure. So I gave it that season. So I was still working out, trying to get signed. Didn't get signed anywhere. I had to work out in New England. Didn't get signed. Once that kind of goes on, you had some injuries. You go a whole year without even getting really a workout. I mean, the writing's kind of on the wall at that point, right? So I couldn't financially just keep doing that every year, right? Because it's expensive to train and all that stuff. So I kind of talked to Derek, who's my boss now at Silver Rock Wealth. I know you know Sarah French.
Yep.
So Sarah's husband Chris works there, and I did some investments through their firm when I was playing. He manages some of my old teammates. So I did finance accounting. I was just like, hey, can I try to learn some stuff from you guys?
Yeah.
Kind of shadowed Chris and Derek for a little bit, and he offered me a job to try to help with business development, and been doing that for the past year and a half. So I kind of went into finance.
What do you like about it? I mean, obviously that was an interest of yours going into college. Yeah. You have your degree in that.
Yeah. I was always a math guy growing up.
Yeah.
So I love math, and I tried to major in math at Wofford, and way too hard. So I did finance. So I did finance accounting at Wofford, and I mean, it's pretty broad, to be honest, finance accounting. You could go in multiple different routes. And I mean, I still could go in different routes.
Yeah.
Right. So I just wanted to learn the past 2 years from them and see what I do like and don't like. I mean, this is wealth management. I like it. I like talking to people. I like meeting new people, networking, all that kind of stuff. But you never know. Never know what you're going to do.
We'll wrap it up with this. You know, you have all these expectations as a kid of maybe I'll get to the NFL, and wouldn't it be cool to play in this stadium that we're at right now and watching the Carolina Panthers? Where did it kind of fall, the reality of it fall compared to the expectations? And when you look back, what do you kind of glean from all those experiences?
I would say if you're young and your dream is to play in the NFL and you play football, I mean, go for it. There's nothing holding you back from doing that. It's all about opportunity and taking advantage of that, right? So I could have easily quit when I'm in high school and our quarterback's getting recruited from every school in the nation, and none of them wanted me, right? Mm-hmm. I ended up going to Wofford. When he went to UNC, he got recruited from Rutgers, all the schools.
Yeah.
Offer from everyone. I have no offers. I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. But hey, Wofford was super interested in me. They gave me a full ride. They wanted me, so I'm like, let's go there. I focused on academics when I was picking that, right?
Yeah.
Football was almost second, but once I started playing and got some interest, dream's still alive, right? Hey, I've always wanted to play in the NFL. Let's try to pursue this. Well, you're not going to get drafted. You're going to be a bubble guy. Your odds are against you. Well, still a chance. Work for that. I was lucky enough, as we said earlier, no injuries, any of that, and had a good opportunity, met some good people. Coach Prohl and Coach Shula, I think, helped out a lot. They were in my corner. Shout out to them. Worked hard, and I mean, got a nice 5-year career out of it. Loved playing football my whole life, and that was a dream, and definitely a dream to play in Charlotte for the Panthers. So I think if anyone's listening that's their dream, go for it.
Thank you so much for Brenton. Thank you everyone for joining us and listening to it. We're going to do this every Friday, and we get so much insight and inside stuff from the people who have lived these sports moments right here in Charlotte. All right, another plug for our special this Sunday, A Season of Uncertainty, 7:30, right here on WCNc Charlotte after golf and the news. We'll see you then.